There's a new sex assault prevention pamphlet that's been put out by the Air Force, and a lot of people are finding it to be incredibly offensive. It says that when victims are attacked, sometimes, quote, it may be advisable to submit than resist. So, as we've talked about, there's widespread issues with sexual assault among members of the armed services. And it's been denounced by President Obama. It's been denounced by Secretary of Defense Chuck Hagel. Military leaders have said a number of things, including they're going to crack down on it. They're going to put new systems in place. A lot of money is being spent. And then the Air Force puts out this pamphlet. And critics say this is yet another sign that the entire context of sexual assault prevention in the military is completely misplaced. Number one, the assumption built into advice that says you might want to just submit rather than resist. This assumes stronger person on weaker person assault, which mostly assumes man on woman assault. Now, as we know, Lewis, in the military, all sorts of assault that are not man on woman are huge problems. Allegation number one, criticism one, is that the pamphlet giving this advice completely ignores everything but man on woman assault.
Right. Well, it's in their best interest to keep people's view of this as limited as possible, right? So if they can keep it to that, they spare themselves more trouble and more embarrassment. But the fact is that there's plenty of male-on-male abuse, and there's group abuse. It's everywhere. It's all over the place.
So that's criticism number one. Criticism number two is that, again, so much focus on the victim, not enough focus on those who are committing the acts. Why aren't we focused more on teaching individuals, whether they're in the military or not to rape? That is criticism number two. And that's really a recurring theme, Lewis, of the so-called sex abuse and rape prevention, which is simply focusing on the victims and defending yourself and making yourself less of a target or likely to be less injured, rather than focusing on let's try to reduce the number of attempts in the first place.
Right. And as we talked about, the biggest problem is the chain of command. When the people you have to report to are more interested in keeping this quiet to preserve their status, there's really nothing you can do.
And then another very highly criticized, I guess, rape prevention poster is one from the Pentagon, which said, ask her when she's sober, kind of saying it's not okay to try to force a woman to have sex with you when she's been drinking. And wow, I mean, just the number of assumptions this is making. Again, it assumes man on woman, and it also assumes that the woman is drunk, but the man, I guess, presumably is not, or it's less relevant whether the man is drunk. Just completely misplaced priorities and misunderstanding of how we should be tackling this thing.
It's incredible how clueless the people are who are part of this campaign.
All right, Facebook.com/David Pakman Show. We'll take a break. We'll be back after this with a lot more. Glad you're with us today. DavidPakman.com/membership. You can always sign up for membership 24 hours a day. Support the show. We'll be back with more after this.